Hi. Um, Yet another trans-related blog video. Um, I've actually started making trans-related videos because I get so many questions from non-trans people or trans questioning people about all kinds of different topics. And I've been looking at other trans people's videos or videos related to being trans or transitioning. And one that I came across that I really liked and that I really stopped to ponder on was the video made by someone who goes by the screen name of SockMonkey, which I thought was kind of cute, and talking about, how do you know you're trans? And he went on to talk about the idea of using gender stereotypes as a measuring tool to compare yourself against in terms of defining your own self-identity. I use a lot of big words, I guess. I should clarify what I mean. Basically, things like people who say, well, I always knew I was really masculine, so I knew I wasn't a girl. Or I was always really feminine as a kid, but I was a boy, and I knew I shouldn't have been a boy. Or I liked to play with boys' toys when I was little, and I was born a girl. Or I liked to play with girls' toys when I was little, and I was born a boy. And that's how I knew I was trans. Or I never got along well with other people of my own sex. Um, and basically how he was talking, that is kind of complete bullshit because, uh, those are all terms in regards to masculinity or femininity, and they are not terms that should be used in regards to gender in terms of male or female. Because even non-transgender people, um, you know, biological males and biological females, men can still be feminine and women can still be masculine, but still know their self-identity and their self, in terms of gender as male or female. There are very, masculine women and there are very feminine men, um, who aren't trans. So using terms like being masculine or feminine really shouldn't be used as a criteria or a standard to base your own self-identity on in terms of your own gender as male or female. And I completely agree with that because it shouldn't be used as a tool. Um, it has nothing to do with how masculine or feminine you are. It has everything to do with, you know, self-identity. However, that's going to lead me into another issue. Um, but the idea also of socialization as male or female. Um, not being like other girls or other guys. Um, just because you're able to socialize with your own sex, like, I was born a female, and I can socialize with females. I can, I don't know, I can't say I can relate, but I, for some reason, even though I don't think I can relate to them, they think they can relate to me. And, and as he was saying, you can fit into other groups or not, and still, you can be trans or straight or gay or bi or lesbian or whatever, and still be able to socialize within your own group, but that does not necessarily mean that you relate to them or think like they do just because you can socialize with them. And for me, that's my experience, is I can socialize with females. They can socialize with me. That does not mean that I feel like I understand them or I think like them. And to me, that's one of my clues that clued me in to how I knew I was trans. Um, it wasn't so much about, who I got along better with or how masculine or feminine I saw myself, even though I did do those things as a kid that people use to justify their trans identity, like playing with boys' toys always, wanting to look like a boy or things like that. Yeah, I did those things, but that's me. As a 32-year-old male, I don't really consider myself all that masculine when I compare myself to other biological males my age or in my age group. I don't, and I'm okay with that because I'm not that masculine. I'm not super masculine, and I don't feel the need to over-exaggerate masculinity just in order to prove something. Because to me, if I do that, all I'm going to prove is that I'm trying too hard. So anyway, one thing I did disagree with, though, is, when he said that you can be gender queer, transgender, gender fluid, non-gender, etc., and still fit in or not fit in with any group. And that is true, that, you can or cannot fit in even within other groups or within your own group just because of how you identify. It doesn't mean that others are going to think you fit in. Yeah, I agree with that. But saying, so what is the criteria to being trans? And he was talking about things that are like, more solidly identified, like body dysphoria, body dysmorphic ideas, not being comfortable with the body that you have, not being comfortable with being labeled in terms of your gender, like not being comfortable being called a woman, not being comfortable being called she. If you're a trans man, it would be the opposite if you're a trans woman. Things like that. And that's what got me thinking, is the idea of a solid identity. Solidly identified. Like, so that's what's leading me to wonder, the people who have this identity for themselves of not having a gender or having dual genders or multiple genders, where's the solidification in that identity? Where is, like, I guess you could say you're solidly identifying as being all, neither, all the above, and being comfortable with that identity. But in doing that, in being this gender neutral or gender fluid person, you're kind of like in gender purgatory, I guess. Like, how are you going to be okay with just being that and not trying to impose your identity into these other groups? Like, they were saying, fitting in with other groups, men, women, trans people. And like I was saying, just because you can communicate, just because you can have a discussion with these other groups, does not mean you fit in, nor does it mean that those other groups are going to think you fit in. So how does that work out for you? How difficult is that to manage? Like, I'm genuinely curious, because how can you sit and base your self-identity against other groups and then be non-conforming of those groups, but then want their support in your identity as being something other than or non-conforming? So yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Leave comments below, and I will read them. I'm actually a technology major in grad school, so I am on my computer constantly, and I am looking at things like YouTube and virtual communication for educational purposes. So yeah, leave comments, please. If you want to contact me off YouTube, that's fine too. I have a Facebook account. You can look me up. My Facebook is, facebook.com/TX State Riley, Riley. That's my name. So yeah, send me messages. I welcome all opinions and viewpoints. Even if they oppose mine, I will listen. I may not agree, but I will take what you say into consideration. And I just hope that you all give me the same respect. Peace.